leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things.
Just weeks after the president put pen to paper on the Expropriation Act, which has been years in the making, misinformation and false claims over the act reached the global stage, even convincing a superpower like the US. But what does this act actually mean for South Africans? The overall intention is to meet the constitutional need for the redress of past injustices, as articulated by many voices, including spokesperson to the president, Vincent Magwenya.
There is no confiscation of anyone's land in South Africa. There is no officially sanctioned discrimination by the government of anyone in this country. The Expropriation Act has been unfortunately misinterpreted, and there's been a lot of fear-mongering.
The said act, which was the then Expropriation Bill, repeals the apartheid-era Expropriation Act 63 of 1975. The intention behind the said legislation is to essentially guide and regulate how expropriation will be implemented and how compensation will be determined in the country. The Act allows for expropriation for a public purpose, i.e. to build a school, or in the public interest, i.e. to achieve redress such as land reform. But the process, according to land activist advocate Tembega Ngcukaitobi SC, is a complex one.
This is not the bill to transform property relations in the country. It's not the bill to transform land relations in the country. So I see the real critique of the bill being, because it's a highly procedural bill with vague and contradictory procedures, it will be ineffective. And also because it's a substantively limited bill, it will not be as disruptive to the property markets as the sort of a lot of misleading reportage has been on this bill.
Chapter 5 grants compensation for expropriation, and Section 12, subsection 1, guides that the amount of compensation must be just and equitable, reflecting on equitable balance between the public interests and the interests of those affected. Where there is a dispute, Chapter 6 guides how parties can turn to mediation, and if that fails, subsequent determination by the court. Nil compensation is dealt with in Section 12, subsection 3, which states that it may be just and equitable for nil compensation to be paid where land is expropriated in the public interest, having regard to all relevant circumstances. Despite false beliefs that this act will result in forced arbitrary removals without compensation, Ngcukaitobi further explains how this will not be the case by virtue of its design.
It's a complicated piece of legislation because it's designed to make it difficult for the government to forcibly take property. It's clear that that's the design of the sponsors of this legislation. So therefore that means is that we've got to have a capable bureaucracy, capable state bureaucracy that will give effect to it.
President Ramaphosa will deliver the State of the Nation address on Thursday at 7 p.m. Canny Maphanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.